Hi, I'm Jennifer Gossick. I'm the city clerk.
And I'm Sue Bravik, Deputy City Clerk.
There's a lot of work that goes into the elections that's, again, behind the scenes that people don't see. We start by, of course, we have to make sure that we are up to date on all the election laws. So we have to work with the Wisconsin Elections Commission, and they post new notices, new laws, all of that. So we have to be up to date on all of that. We are in charge of hiring all of the election workers that then have to be approved by the Common Council. So we schedule people to work every election. We make sure that anybody that's running for office, we issue the nomination papers for them and make sure that they are in compliance and they fill out everything. We also manage the campaign finance statements that they have to turn in if they are required to do so. And then we make sure that their names get on the ballot if they have gone through the process and the nomination papers are all in order. We make sure that their names are spelled correctly on the ballot the way that they want them to be on the ballot. We work with the county clerk to get our ballot information to them. What else do we do, Sue?
Yeah, there's a lot. So the clerk too also does a training for all of the election workers to train those. Plus we go to trainings from the county clerk.
Right.
The county clerk would issue. We have to attend those and have 6 hours worth of training in to work the polls too.
So, and then we send out all the absentee ballots. These are ballots for people that either can't make it to the election or aren't going to be in town. For some reason, they're not going to be able to vote on election day. We also do absentee voting here. It's called in-person absentee voting. Mm-hmm. It starts 2 weeks prior to the election and it ends the Friday prior. So all those ballots have to be sent out and then they're taken to the polls on election day to be processed and put in the counting machines. We set up the polling places. The day before the elections, we set up both of our polling places. That's a full day process. And then obviously the next day, we are there when the polls open. We are there to let the election workers in and get the day started. At the end of the night, we take all of the data, we take the votes, the counts, and we send that to the county clerk. And then there are a whole bunch of there's a lot of other paperwork that we need to do at the end of the night that we also then deliver to the county clerk so he can process it and get the full county's votes. Mm-hmm. And then after the election, there's a lot of work that has to be done. We have to reconcile and balance it and, make sure that everything is entered into the Wisconsin Election Commission's computer system. And it takes a couple of weeks after the elections are done. We just had a primary in February. And the very next day, we're not only finishing up that primary, but we were starting on the April election.
The ballot machines themselves, there's a testing of each machine to make sure all the ballots are going to be accepted through, properly through that machine. And we do a public test on that too. Once we do our testing here and make sure everything's in order, we'll do a public test. So anyone from the public is welcome to come and watch that process and see how we handle all that too.
Right.
Yeah.
And we're always looking for election workers. So if you want to work the election, we do pay you and we do feed you. Okay, so if you want to know where you vote, there is a website that is myvote.gov. You can go on there, you put in your name and your address and your birth date, and it will tell you where you vote. We have 2 polling locations. On the east side, it's Crossview Commons. It's right next to Pick and Save. And then on the west side, it's the Centralia Center. That's where the Lowell Center is, the Senior Center. We're on the other end of that building. So those are the 2 polling locations. Of course, you can always call the clerk's office or email us, and we can let you know where you vote as well. On election day, or if you are registering to vote, which you can also do here at the clerk's office prior to the election, you can do it on election day, you'll need to show a proof of address, proof of residence. So it has to be something that shows your current address. If you have a valid driver's license, but you've moved, so your license doesn't have the correct address, then that license won't work as for proving your residency. But a an electric bill or a cell phone bill or a bank statement or a paycheck, anything that has your current address on it with your full name. And then when you actually go to vote, you'll need your driver's license or some type of photo ID. If your driver's license does not have the correct address on it for identification purposes, for identifying you as a person, not your residence, we can still take that as your photo ID. And it has to have it has to have an expiration date on it. So if you don't use a driver's license, if your passport has an expiration date, you can use that. We have a whole list of things that you can use. Mm-hmm. But you need those two things. You need to prove where you live, and then separately you need to prove who you are. So our polling places by state law are open from 7 a.m. to 8 p.m. So our clerk's office, the 2 weeks prior to the election for in-person absentee voting, we are open from 8 till 4:30 every day. So feel free to come on down and vote before the election. Obviously, your ballots won't be open and processed till election day. Sue and I will bring those to the voting place, and they get processed like a normal ballot would.